I just hit start.
I also have just hit start.
Okay, so I don't know how the fuck we're gonna synchronize, but it's always let's figure it out. Blah blah blah. Blah. Just sometimes I just like fucking cram them into each other. Listen for a bit, be like, yeah, that works, and then I go, and then I hear it, and I'm like, this isn't lined up, so I make a cut, and then I just fucking cram it again until it works. And then I go. I'm like,
Yeah.
yep, there we go. No one will notice. Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass and I'm here with my co-host Mike.
Hi.
just cutting in there, aren't you? Today we are going to be going over the Army Rules update for, Wadrhun. I even closed the tab because, we're doing great. Old Dominion and City States, so the second part of the Army Rules update where we hit up these three factions. Our rule of the week is going to be, what the heck is it? Bravery. And then actually just today as we're recording, Parabellum had a happy hour. I only got a chance to listen to maybe the last half hour of it. Mike, did you catch any more than that, or did you listen to the whole thing?
I did not catch even 1 second of it. I am strictly going by what I heard people say on the Discord. So
cool.
This is going to be a good one.
We got the rumor mill going.
Yeah,
people
and the rumors are things I imagined.
All right. So, what else is going on with us? We have Discord now. You can find the link in the show notes below if you want to join a BonkTable Discord. It's mainly a place to do Conquest, show off your painting, talk about factions and such. There's even a channel for 40k if you want to go and talk about 10th in there.
You can swear as much as you want. There's no grown-ups allowed.
Yeah.
There's a skateboarding tricks channel.
Is there actually? Did you put that in when I wasn't looking?
No, that would have been a great idea though. Now I'm just disappointed in myself for for thinking of the skateboarding tricks channel without actually implementing it, because I want to see a bunch of elder millennials cause permanent damage to their hips and knees.
We should just go find Tony Hawk fails and just Tony Hawk hurting himself over and over and over again. Like, that's the way.
I respect the Hawkman too much.
He's an icon.
Exactly.
It's really funny whenever I don't know if you have a Twitter. I don't have a Twitter, but I do see every once in a while like postings of people screen capping Twitter where Tony Hawk will shout out his Twitter when people don't recognize him and ask if he's Tony Hawk or if he's a good skateboarder, and he's like, yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
He's like super humble about it and not like, oh, I'm Tony Hawk, guys, you should know who I am. No, he's just like, guys, I'm old.
Yeah. Well, that's admirable in an athlete when so often the problem is the opposite.
I have no idea how old he is, but I feel in my heart of hearts that he's probably approaching 50 and he's still skateboarding.
Yeah, he might even be older than that, because I feel like he was a whole-ass adult when I was, like, a teenager.
Well, I remember watching, like, the Jackass movie and, like, TV show when I was way too young. Like, probably around 10 or 12. And I know they had Tony Hawk on for the Jackass movie, I think, with, like, Bam, because Bam was a skateboarder. Mm-hmm. But at that time, like, Bam was like 20 or something, or 22. Like, he was super young when he did that movie, and now he's like in his 50s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, we're getting old.
Time is crazy. Speaking as an extremely old person, it's
yes.
But nonetheless,
as a 3 million year old vampire, how do you die day by day?
Yeah, as a lich's nightmare, I have witnessed many eras rise and fall, and the era of Tony Hawk is far and away craziest. Which is really relevant to discussing the tabletop war game Conquest: The Last Argument of Kings.
Can you imagine if Tony Hawk was into this? Like, he was the Henry Cavill, but for Conquest instead of Warhammer.
Honestly, like, I remember, like, 15 years ago now, I was reading the history of, of Apple computers written by one of the engineers of, like, the early days of Apple, and he was talking about, like, all these old rock and roll guys, like Mick Jagger and David Bowie, just being, like, just as human beings being interested in computers, and, like, Robin Williams loved Nintendo and, like, retro video games and shit, and it's just, like, honestly, celebrities having like normie interests fucks me up on such a deep level. Like, it seems like that should be
reserved for us normies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, isn't that a little pedestrian for a celebrity? Shouldn't they have more exciting things to be doing? No.
Oh yeah, we should be partying, doing a ton of drugs and alcohol at like these like high rolling Vegas tables and hotels, and just getting completely fucked.
Doing weird. I don't know, eating weird animals that I've never heard of, and having dying in a tin can submarine in the blood ocean.
The blood ocean.
You know. Stuff that's inaccessible to me, not just like being like, oh, this computer has a disk drive, that's fascinating, I'm David the fuck Bowie. Like, that's madness.
That's madness. I've talked to a person before who has consumed kangaroo meat, and I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. You live in the middle of the Arctic tundra, where the fuck did you get kangaroo meat from? It's like, oh, I got it. It's like, I went down to the butcher. I'm like, the butcher has kangaroo? We live in Canada. What the fuck?
To be fair, though, like, all you have to do is get that meat into the Arctic, and then I feel like it just keeps forever. So
you just sprinkle a little bit of salt on it, and it's good in our igloos.
Yeah, it's not as, you know, the logistics of it are just maybe more straightforward than we'd like to think. Because eventually you can just open up the back of the truck and it's like you're not even wasting gas on the reefer. It's just...
We don't even have refrigerated semis. We just open up the back and put a chain or like strap everything down. It's good. It'll keep.
It's like a convertible, but it's... Okay, Jesus Christ. Somehow I was like, okay, I'm going to get us back on track, and now we're further than ever from the point.
What else? Oh, yeah. We also have a YouTube channel. I'm still chuckling about the fucking kangaroo meat. You could find that on YouTube, BonkTable. We'll also have a link in the show notes below, so you could enjoy that.
Let's get bonked, as they say, with the BonkTable on.
Did I send you the? I think I have been. I've been sending you the rough sketches for like an actual logo instead of whatever the fuck I have right now, like the red-eyed Steel Legion guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll get done at some point. But man, there's a couple of like bonk, and like I said it to a couple of people. I'm like, what do you think? And they're like, oh, why don't you just like do an explosion word, a bonk table like across? And I'm like, all right, this is happening. Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on a logo. So that's good.
They don't just grow on trees. You gotta. No, it turns out it's pretty tough stuff.
I can't draw. I can do field sketches to explain where concrete gets poured and why structures are failing because people built them wrong.
I can draw that S that's existed since the beginning of human history, but nobody can trace its origin.
Is that the one where you draw like the 3 lines and then you draw 3 lines diagonally?
Yeah, and then you connect them, and then it's called. If you Google that S, it finds it, and that to me, it's like an object that existed before the Big Bang. If finding that is how that S feels to me, because it's so like everybody knows it, but nobody knows where it came from, and any origin story that you hear is a lie.
What the fuck? Like I wrote in that S, and it's trying to give it an apostrophe or like connect it to the S to the word that.
Well, it's because they don't want you to find the truth.
This is the conspiracy finding about the S.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. This is what we're doing today.
Me and that S came into existence long before the universe as you understand it was born.
It was there with you, the Queen, and that S?
Yeah, and pieces of us will persist long after everything else succumbs to entropy.
Thank God something is like Jesus. Let's talk about the happy hour. So that just happened like, I don't know, probably like 3.5 hours ago since time of recording.
3.5 miserable hours ago.
I was watching TV and having dinner.
Well, I mean that sounds substantially less miserable, but I figure what comes after the happy hour, but the miserable hours.
Oh my God. Why are you like this sometimes?
I know. Because I'm so brain poisoned from the internet, I don't know how to interact with normal people anymore.
You can't touch enough grass to return to normal, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I'm
okay.
Yeah, I'm in an ascendant brain poison dimension.
Oh my God. Can I go buy like a bunch of sod and make you a sod jacket to wear so that you are always touching grass? And then it'll decay around you as it has no like nourishment and water to sustain it.
So you can, but
oh God,
that will not stop me.
All right, things that happened to the happy hour. I was only paying attention for the last half hour. Things that and then Mike, you got the rumor mill off of the Discord.
Yeah, that's I saw people talking about things there is what I mean to say. So it's not even like rumors. It's just like
shiz.
I saw people saying things and made up opinions based on those things.
All right. So do you want to bring the hot takes of the Discord into this podcast? Are we opening up the door to outside to see what comes in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking there to see if there's anything really that stands out to me
okay.
in terms of. So one thing I'll comment on is Thunder Riders got hats.
Wait, what?
Yeah, if you they posted images of the I don't know what the hats are called. I saw and then immediately forgot. But now the Thunder Rider models. I don't know what to tell you, man. They got hats. You can put hats on them. It looks like there's a hatless option. That's my preference. Because these. I understand the kind of hat that they were going for, but if I'm giving my perfectly candid, about to get canceled by the powers that be by Parabellum opinion, it's that they look more like if.
Do they look like sombreros?
Do you remember The Simpsons? It's a really, really, really old one, but it's the one where Homer and Ned Flanders make a bet with each other over their kids playing mini golf, and the winner. The loser has to do the yard work in drag, like in their wife's church clothes. And so the kids get fed up with having to compete, so they both intentionally tie, and they decide that that's a mutual loss for the two dads, so the both of them have to wear like sun hats and dresses at the end and do yard work. Anyway, my point is, that's what these hats look like to me, and I'm sorry, I know that's an opinion that's going to get me canceled. But
are they wearing sun hats then?
Well, they're not sun hats. They they look to me like sun hats. Like I'm not trying to put hats on anybody's heads here that aren't real, because they said the kind of hat that it is. I just refuse to learn it.
Okay, that's where we're at now. Cool.
Yeah, but it looks like a sun hat, and so I'm personally not crazy about it, but I think there are hatless options, so...
Are you going to have a bunch of bald Wadrhun running around on your Triceratops, or are you going to put them on sun hats so they don't get like heat stroke and sunburn?
My Wadrhun don't live long enough to die to lifestyle factors, so I don't really care if they put on hats and sunblock or not.
We're lucky if the apex predator survives by the end of the game.
Yeah, we're lucky if anyone does. Like, I've technically at this point, with the amount, and I'm sure I've made this joke before, but with the amount of matriarch queens that I've lost, I personally am responsible for the extinction of the Wadrhun race. It's really as simple as that. I've crippled their ability to reproduce with my careless wartime decision making.
You've massacred half of the species by accident. You're like, oh, this is not doing good.
Yeah, they're. What am I gonna do? You know?
Oopsies.
Yeah, you just throw them on the dinosaur. Hope for the best.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's obvious that we didn't prepare for this at all and don't have anything meaningful to say about the happy hour. But
I got a couple I could talk about. So
yeah, absolutely. Please take the lead on this then, because I am absolutely floundering here.
So there's George. I think it's George and the Dragon, the 100 Kingdoms founder exclusive. Got what the hell did it do? It got revealed, not revealed, but it got told that it's going to be releasing in August, so that's really exciting there. Then,
that is a good looking model.
Did it actually come out in color? Because I didn't see it in color.
No, I just saw a render of it, but it does look cool.
It's sweet as
evokes
fuck.
Well, to me anyway, it evokes the Altdorfer painting, but not in a super direct way.
I do love me some Altdorf.
Don't we all? But
yeah. Step 1, Altdorf. Step 2, defeat the vampires. Step 3, fail somewhere in between, get eaten by vampires. So that's coming out in August. Sweet. Tauntador got revealed. It looks sweet as fuck. You can find pictures online. I know some people took screenshots from the happy hour and posted it into the Discord, and it's in color and everything, and it's dynamic pose. It's got little like raptor guys running around beneath it. It's totally like Welcome to Jurassic Park as the big long neck dinosaur comes up from over the trees or whatever, and all the little dinosaurs are running around, and then there's orcs riding it, and it's like sweet. So yeah, I hope everyone loses money in their wallets for that.
Yeah, it's a very nice looking model. It's good to see it finished. It's gone. They had originally built it as a super monster, which was going to be on a double monster base, but it looks like it's now gone back to a single monster base, which, you know.
Do you think they like they just like cut out half of its gut and then just like took the front half and the back half and just like slid it together to fit onto the one base? They're like, good. It's no longer long like a slinky dog.
No, I hope it's just like a farce to put it on a normal size monster round base. Like, I hope that it's like just the edge of part of a corner of the back fifth of each foot on the front, and then the front corner of the front fifth of the back feet on the base, and then the rest just overhanging. Like, I hope it's just a disgusting amount of overhanging, just like
oh god,
a joke. Like
it's like Scorn from War Machine all over again. People they had such a bad issue with Scorn models in War Machine where people would take cork, like 1 to 2 inches of just like cork the size of the base, glue that to the base, and then glue the model on top of that because it had such bad overhang models on all the Scorn war beasts. Like, they had tusks and tails and shit just, like, going everywhere. And it's like, oh, my God.
As a Wadrhun player, I have no idea what that's like.
What? Last time I saw you play, all the slingers hit each other and, they all domino effect fell over.
You know what? The slingers, if they get, like, there's about 15 seconds where I give a shit if everyone is on the stand and intact, and then from there, anyone who tips over, falls over, it's just like, whatever happens, happens, dog. That's life.
I only need one of you to be on here to represent that you're alive, and I can put a dice down for your health. I don't care anymore.
I only need the stand to be there, for being perfectly honest.
What other
Once we've established what it is.
What else is there? Oh, there was a lore question of, do the Spire's drones have belly buttons? And this was answered. And it was answered with, they do have belly buttons, but they're not where you think they are. So I think it's the butts. They're in the butthole. That's my opinion. Don't follow me for that.
I hope it's like just above the butthole. Like double barreled.
Just in the tailbone?
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, if I start to make speculative jokes about Spire Anatomy, this will go so like This will go into into the hardest R in the most non-specifically sexual way that you never actually saw coming.
Yeah,
which is what's so crazy about it.
We cannot put more explicit on this podcast than we already have. At that point, like, we'd have to put a warning at the front, be like, warning, this is for adult content only. Like, seriously, 18 plus, like, even if you're an adult, you might not want to listen to what's about to happen.
I've used the body, like that sort of specific direction of the body horror angle to sell people on the Spires because I only know weird perverts, but it's like, if you know weird perverts and you want to get them into the game, the Spires are actually a much better vector to do that than you might have thought. So it's just, just food for thought.
There we go. What else is commented about? Scenarios being relooked at. So
that, yeah. Good.
We got to go redo our scenario episode that came out like 2 weeks ago.
Nothing would make me happier. I think it's we've been using that scenario pack for a while, and I think it's just time to, like, the game has changed form a couple times since that pack came out. So I think it's maybe time to try new things and to sort of
adjust. Also as mentioned was they're re-looking at terrain and how terrain interacts with scenario, because if you listen to our scenario episode, terrain doesn't really go into zones or isn't allowed in zones, and because there has to be like 9 inches away from it, like another piece of terrain only really ends up in certain spots, and the tables kind of get a little samey.
Yeah,
like I feel /fine. Like you can do some stuff, but like you kind of build roughly the same like 5 to 6 tables because of how all the rules interact with each other and how they fit. So PB is looking at that and is going to hopefully release a new scenario packet with new terrain rules, and that'll refresh and revitalize scenario. Because people are like talking like 10, like we don't even make it to 10 turns. We're usually dead by turn 6. And like how point scoring is done. Like I know for on the 100 Kingdoms side, 100 Kingdoms currently has 2 warlords, and you get points for whenever you kill a warlord on both of them. Mm-hmm. So 100 Kingdoms players like, well, this kind of sucks. What else is there? Dweg got brought up. I was like, hey, what's going on with Dweg? So PB is hopefully going to be looking into that one. It's kind of the response. As well as, what was another question got brought up? I think there was a brought up question of, is PB ever going to like do YouTube stuff or like release like staff on staff like battles or anything at some point? And that one didn't really get answered, but I saw that one flash by and I was like, that sounds kind of good. Like, cause it's like, what are the staff playing? What are they looking at and things? Like, it kind of gives players an insight, and also it's good content, and like the staff and PB can just like make learning how to play guides for their game. Like, this is how you charge, and they do all the moves. Like I know for War Machine, Privateer Press, I think back in Mark 3 when they transitioned from 2 to 3, did a whole series on like going through all the rules and videos and showing people how they like measure line of sight, how they measure movement, how they measure charges, how they make an attack roll, how they make a shooting roll, how they make a magic roll. Like they went through every aspect of their game and showed players how to do it. So it's something they could also do and also play the game. It'd be cool to see. Yeah. So who knows?
It would be good to help standardize just how, at least to have documents to sort of point to and go, well, this is,
Yeah, because like I know as like a content creator, like I've seen people post in the Discord be like, I want a learning game like battle report. I'm like, man, that is hours of work. Like, yeah, I try to do the least amount of editing possible when I make these battle reports, or when I edit when it's my turn to edit a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's hours of work that I do not want to do to begin with, but I do it because I want to make something decent to present.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, what was it? I think it was one of our locals is talking to me last game day before you showed up, and he was trying to figure out who edited which episode because he's been noticing that there's like different editing styles between the two, and I'm like, oh, you guess gotta find out. Ooh.
Wow, that's who's the sharp tack who can hear the subtle differences in the way that we edit?
Yeah,
I feel like that's a. I mean, well, no, I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. To nobody but you and I, but still, you're in it now, listener. So
yeah, you specific person who we know personally and have an actual name of. Yes, you. We're looking at you. Yeah. You're a good guy. Thank you for noticing.
Thank you for listening to us, Gronathan.
Jeez. He'll be happy. Should we get on to Rule of the Week?
Might as well. Might as well talk about Conquest for a second.
Yeah, instead of just having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, so Rule of the Week is Bravery. This regimen includes including character stands, ignores the fearsome and terrifying X special rules. In addition, at the start of the regiment's activation, after resolving any draw events, but before performing its first action, remove the broken status from this regiment. That's it. Mike, you said you wanted to do this one, so you're going to explain why.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. She's a beaut. Heck of a rule.
Round of applause for this person.
No, it's I mean that, but the reason being is I think Bravery actually represents what I think is like right now the best sort of design ethos that PB is engaging with when they make this game, because where like my personal experience with Bravery for the most part is going from 1.5 to 2.0. The special rule for Hard Mommy, or as some people who are new to the game and aren't familiar with the really common slang that everyone uses, the matriarch queen.
Every time I still laugh.
She I don't know what there's to laugh about. It's just helpful facts for people who are new to the game. But nonetheless,
yeah, you're right. 100%.
She, like, in 1.5, she just turned off Broken to the unit that she was attached to, which whipped ass for me, but objectively speaking, it's not... Getting Broken is a necessary mechanic, yeah, for units to be interacting with, and it kind of throws things off quite a bit for that to not be there at all. So why I like Bravery is because of that free rally at the beginning of the activation. So it's with the change to Hard Mommy is now she gives them Bravery, which I'm starting to doubt myself about. So I'm just gonna flip to her in the rules here, but I'm quite. Who cares? We're doing our best out here, you know.
It's freezing. We just talked about all the kangaroo meat in the semi truck.
Yeah, exactly. So she's got Inspiring Presence, so we'll just quote it precisely for the sake of it. The regiment that this character stands is currently attached to gains the Bravery special rule, so that was much less of a commitment than I thought it was going to be. Yes, that's exactly it. So she gets Bravery, but to get back on track, the reason why that rules is because it's essentially the same as Never Gets Broken, but it creates a small window of time where they are broken, and thus you can have broken unit interactions. But it otherwise, like, it opens the window and then shuts it. And that's why I like Hardened over High Defense, because it's like...
Well, it's like the Dragon Slayers, like the Defense 3 with Hardened 2. So I know, what is it? I actually played against, the game that I'm referencing should come out before this podcast. I believe it'll be thinking with my brain here, 13. 100k versus Dweg. And I charge a bunch of Dragon Slayers with Crimson Towers for Brutal Impact 2. And because they made a successful charge, they're going to be Cleave 1 because of Wedge on that clash action with their from charging successfully. Mm-hmm. So, but because the Dragon Slayers have Hardened 2, Brutal Impact 2, Cleave 1 just does nothing. And the way to kill them is just weight of dice. So, throwing more attacks into them. And because the Crimson Towers were like a 5 stand with leader, or I guess with the prior commander, so like 6 stands of them all doing their impacts and then all clashing, like it just cut through the Dragon Slayers and did a bunch of damage So because it's just weight of dice, and they were actually like hitting on like 4 down, so I was getting some decent hits in there, so that my opponent had to roll and just kind of died from weight of dice, and that's how you deal with it. While if those Dragon Slayers were defense 4 hardened 1, the only time his defense would have dropped at that point would have been on my Brutal Impact 2. Probably wouldn't deal enough damage, and then my Cleave would have been useless, and he's rolling 4 downs, and be like, this isn't really that great, because now I'm stuck in with these Dragon Slayers, and I'm just going to get bodied really hard by them. Yeah. So, kind of that, like, that's kind of the way to deal with Harden, even though we're supposed to be talking about Bravery, is just throw numbers at it. Throw accurate dice at them. So, high clash and just a fuck ton of them, and you'll just override them, and damage will leak through to kill them. As for Bravery, I like this rule just as you do, because I like having it on stuff. Like I have it on Steel Legion, and there's been plenty of times where someone's declared, I'm gonna duel you, and I go, nope, and then the Steel Legion activate and immediately unbreak because it just rallies them. Or I lose half my stands, I'm broken, I start my turn, or I win the roll for a priority, I activate that Steel Legion unit, they are now unbroken, and they inspire a clash doing a bunch of damage, so that's really nice there. But there has been a time, and I believe, what was it? Was it episode 9 of the battle reports? I think that was a battle between you and me when you were playing Nords, where I didn't get to my Steel Legion first, so they were still broken because Bravery hadn't kicked in. And Mike dueled my Imperial Officer with his conning gear. And that conning gear said, hello, and my Imperial Officer said, hello, and my conning gear said, give me all your money or I'm going to kill you. And my Imperial Officer said, I don't have money. He's like, well, I guess you're dying, and that's exactly what happened. So
the blood was the money.
The blood, yes, the blood. There was some blood money that was required to be paid, and my Imperial Officer did not have enough, obviously. Then the unit went and activated and unbroke, got rid of broken status with Bravery. But I do like that hole is there for people to take advantage of if they're quick enough, if they break a unit or that unit's already gone and then you hit it with something and it breaks and you follow up with something else and get in before it can activate the next turn or activate even in that round to fix itself. Because there's been times where people have hit me, they're like, aha, you're broken, you're going to spend one of your actions to unbreak yourself. And I'm like, aha, I don't care. Bravery kicks in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so the other things that I wanted to touch on, the other aspects of it, is that you ignore fearsome and terrifying. Ignoring terrifying is great because that can be the death of some units, especially, the Apex. One of the big value adds for it was is the terrifying, or one of the things that makes it really good is that it inflicts terrifying. So blunting that does limit its efficacy.
Or everything in Old Dominion.
Yeah, exactly. Now fearsome is it's
so weird.
I want to call it my pet special rule, but it's like the opposite of a pet because I'm very cruel to it. I think it's not.
Is it the printer?
Worthwhile.
It's the printer special rule.
Yeah, it's just I don't think it's very impactful. So if the only thing that Bravery did was make you immune to fearsome, I would be complaining about Bravery a lot right
now. Well, I would still take Bravery if it only prevented fearsome but still unbroke me. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
But if it only did fearsome, then yeah, I'd be like, this is stupid.
It'd be a real stinkeroo, but I don't think I think fearsome needs some kind of adjustment just to feel more impactful. Because it's for the most part the stuff like I don't know. It just has never really been coming up for me as being a super
like it hasn't been relevant. Should we read off fearsome just so people have an understanding? Because they might be like us and don't. Like, they see it, but they don't...
read the rules, just wing it.
Yeah, just wait now. Like, they see it, but they don't actually use it because the situation that it's coming up in doesn't matter or doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So, fearsome enemy regiments in contact with this regiment must roll a d6 before being able to form a combat rally or combat reform action. If the result is less or equal to the highest resolve characteristic in the regiment, you may perform an action as normal. If the result is higher than the action... if the result is higher, then the action fails and is lost. It's then the action fail. No. I just read that too fast. Okay. So basically, your opponent rolls a d6, right? Yeah. So your opponent rolls a d6. If they meet or go below their highest resolve, they just get to go and do their combat rally or combat reform. And if they don't, they're just stuck there and they're down in action. So that kind of sucks. But I don't really see this happening very often, truthfully. Like,
no, I mean, the rally thing kind of sucks, but generally speaking, if something made it to the point where it needs to try and rally in the middle of combat, it's got high enough resolve that you're probably going to do it.
Or like you've been fighting and then you got side charged by something with fearsome and then you kill the thing you're fighting and then now you're like, all right, I'm going to bear all the rest of my unit on that thing and now you got to roll for fearsome. Like, or maybe like, oh, you only got 2 stands left and you're like men-at-arms, so you resolve 2 and it's like, all right, do it. You're like, oh god. But I don't know. It doesn't come up super much for us. I know that. Like,
yeah.
Like, because we don't really combat reform a whole ton. Well, combat rally. Oh, yeah, there we go. The combat rally. So you would still remain broken if you failed that. But Braveries fixes that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
So maybe that one's a nice one, but usually like the thing's just getting crumped anyway. It's just getting beaten on. So
yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't really come up for us that much.
Yeah, like I guess every once in a while it's gonna foil you and be frustrating, and that's fine, I suppose. But in in terms of rules, that I think like if you could cut this, like if I just snuck it out of the rule book and then
didn't say anything.
Yeah, would anybody really? Nobody's like, my fearsome build.
Oh no! Let us know, dear listener, if they got rid of fearsome, would you notice?
Yeah, if you've got crazy fearsome tech that we don't know about, then hit us up.
You should be.
Otherwise, leave me alone.
I have bravery. You can't bother me.
Yeah, I can't be broken for too much time.
Oh no, I can get rid of being broken.
Yeah, you can break me a little bit. Probably should just leave that thought where it is.
Let's get on to our main topic, the rest of the army list rules. So
army list.
We're doing Wadrhun. This is all you.
Yeah.
You are the Wadrhun. You are the dino.
The Droon. So
hard mommy dino daddy. Let's go.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
In 2.0, and then I guess the most recent revision, just to get people up to speed, so the chants got changed in 2.0 quite a bit, and now they sort of more clearly do what they're intended to do. But they also changed the wording of the rules so that previously a chant on a unit would last until its subsequent activation, but now it's just until the end of the round that you make the chant on, which it limits the efficacy of a lot of the more defense-oriented chants. But that's you got to eat the pie that you're given. So that is what it is. It brought it in line with other, like, I think that was part of a more sweeping standardization of how rules language in the game is implemented. So I can't be too directly pissy about it. There's just going to be a sort of a background radiation level of pissiness to what I say about the chants. But overall, chants improved in 2.0. They didn't change that much in the most recent revision, but where things do start to change is in the supremacies.
Can I ask a question about chants?
No. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then
no, go ahead.
As you were talking about, I'm just reading them right now. And War Tier 2, Cleave 1 special rule. You think that'd be +1? That'd be a good
you would think so, but orcs can't have fucking anything.
There it is.
No, Cleave 1. So that's I think there's a use case for
like
this
you could put
on
that
vets.
Oh. This would be good on vets because +1 defense, already like defense.
Like they're already pretty defensive. If you can get a charge on them and activate shock with cleave, and that's going to make more sense once I get into the supremacy abilities. I mean, you know it, but for the benefit of the listener. So War Cleave 1, in this game I've found is
It's nice, but sometimes it doesn't do anything.
It's nice against things that you don't really need cleave against in the first place, is my experience. And against things where cleave is really good, cleave 2 is like the minimum.
Yeah, so like it secures the kill instead of there being like a 20% chance this guy lives, there is now a 10 to 5% chance the guy lives. And you're like, an 85% chance of murdering a guy? Done.
Yeah. Like, Cleave 1 is fantastic for turning your, like, Defense 2 into a Defense 1, but, like, Defense 4 to Defense 3, it's just not really, it doesn't feel as impactful. I'm not going to do the math, and if you try to tell me the math, I'll block you on Discord or just stop talking to you. Like, I won't learn anything. I'll never learn anything.
If I just rattle numbers off at you, you're done.
I'll just tune it out. I'll just start thinking about skateboarding.
Tony Hawk saved me.
Yeah, you start doing math, I start popping kickflips. We can do this all day. But no, so to me, going from like 2 to 1 feels way more impactful than like 4 to 3 or like 5 to 4, depending on who you're going into.
Yeah.
I think so the thing about tier 3 of war is the units that want it the most are going to be the biggest pain in the ass to get Fnatic onto, but like Blessed Whips, it's one of the best abilities in the game, so like,
oh man,
and then counterattack on top of it, that's like that's spice on spice, baby. That's delicious.
Yeah, because actually that Bless with counterattack is pretty sweet, because then you get to reroll your defenses every one you do a wound back or a hit back.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
Yeah, I mean, counterattack isn't the thing that you build around, but as a bonus, like, getting it on top of Blessed, terrific. Why the fuck not? You know, I think it really, tier 3 of war is probably actually one of the strongest, but you're just...
You Chosen of War? Oh my god, am I actually seriously going to look up Chosen of War right now? I was going to type that into Google and I realized I need to go to the army builder. I'm like, yes, this will obviously get me there faster.
Chosen of War. I'm going to scroll down and look at it too.
Because like they be the Fnatic guys. Are they good to have Blessed and counterattack? Grass faction? No.
They're the brutes, so that's interesting.
Ooh, they're broody brutes. Oh,
they actually probably
they
are.
already have Cleave 1 base.
Yeah, that's the
missing out on the double dip.
And that's sort of a problem with the overall, the way the chants fit with a lot of the units right now. Like, so there's a couple different builds where I think you get a strong use case for putting hard mommies, or aka the matriarch queen for those of us who are new to the game, into a famine chant. Just because of some of the stuff that she can be put in, or some of the stuff that she can take in her warband. But the problem with the famine chant is one of the things that people really love and that I'm not so hot on is the warbread. And they don't benefit from tier 2. And that's...
Why not? Why don't the warbread get tier 2?
Well, because it's relentless blows, which they already have, and you can't make the blows more relentless. So it's dead for them.
Blows.
The issue with... And sorry, let's look at Chosen of War some more, and then I'll get into what my issue with otherwise putting Fnatic on things is. But let me get back to the Chosen of War. So the brutes, Fnatic, Linebreaker, Shield. This is actually probably the unit that I've been looking for.
Resolve 4, defense 4. Oh my god!
For the
5
points,
attacks, 6 wounds, and they're mediums. Yeah, I put shock on this? Holy crap.
So, for the points, they're the same as Warbread, and I'd argue that they're strictly better in almost every way, except that they're going to be almost certainly in a restricted slot. But other than that, like, why wouldn't you take these? And especially if you can reliably get them up to Blessed?
The Scion of Conquest takes them, and they are restricted.
Yeah, but that's easy enough, and like...
Oh, you can take Chosen of Conquest with Chosen of War.
Yep, done. That's a great...
Chosen of Conquest good?
That's one of those not a mainstay taxes. If like there's definitely, I think, like, everybody has Dino Fever right now, and rightly so, but like if you look at
Dino Fever.
Yeah, if you look at the stuff in the Scion of Conquest, like the cults themselves are all ridiculous, and the Scion is almost like a grab bag of great units once we have access to them. Because like Chosen of War, fucking good. Like, why wouldn't you?
Hear me out. Do you
Yeah,
build? Okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna do that every time because I have brainworms. But please go ahead.
my brain words are acting up again. Please hold on as I recorrect them and like make the tubes work again. Because I'm just like I'm kind of down from my 100 my pleb Hume perspective of 100 kingdoms towards your Dino Mommy perspective of your Wadrhun faction. What I'm getting at is that the shock rule on the chieftain I find is very strong and fixes a lot of like kind of what I perceive are problems with Wadrhun, that is like a lower clash and like they want to hit to do that damage and they need to hit, so because they don't really have the survivability and tankiness with a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
So do you take a Thunder Chieftain, the Thunder Rider, like the chieftain on the Thunder Rider thingamabobber, the Triceratops, throw a unit of Thunder Riders with him, and grab 2 Science of Conquest with like 4 units of Chosen of Conquest and then like 4 Chosen of War or like Chosen of Death or whatever you want, and just run that monstrosity at people.
Yeah,
because then you're benefiting from shock. Something you want, because let's like I'm gonna admit here, like everyone getting +1 clash on their impacts and on their regular clash is just, it's money, even if it's just a charge, but it's just like you're going to be hitting hard, you're going to be accurate, and you can get that damage in. And then looking at their stat line, like Chosen of Conquest, 7 wounds. They have shields, they don't, but they're like Resolve 4, Defense 3, so they're going to get cut in the defense, but they had 7 wounds, so they're going to survive on the health pool. But Chosen of War are Defense 3 with a shield, Resolve 4, 6 wounds. Like, this is a good stat line.
Yeah.
And then they're getting +1 Resolve from the War, so you're going up to 5. Like, you've just made Ashen Dawn, and if you get down to tier 3, you've just made Ashen Dawn for like 30 points cheaper.
Yeah, and it's like with like they're just cleave 1, but they're with Linebreaker they can be, if you are choosing your engagements well, then they're going to be functionally cleave 3.
If you're going against city states, they're defense 2 now.
Yeah.
And your cleave 1's a defense 1, and you just go blah 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 and eat all these freaking Greek people.
Yeah.
Sorry, PB, I know you're from Greece, but like you made an orc what was too powerful for even you.
By these orcs.
You're getting greased.
I don't know, was that am I gonna get cancelled for that?
I don't think you're gonna get cancelled. No one knows us.
I don't know. Take that.
That's fucking hilarious.
Whoever. No, like the overall discussion, like again, Dino Fever, and perfectly understandable because Thunder Rider, like I'm excited to talk about Thunder Riders and the Thunder Chieftain right now because they are looking quite good. But
you gonna proxy them? Do it.
I can't. I hate proxying. It hurts my soul. And it's all for brainworms reasons. But
I'm disappointed in you. I hope you know that.
I know.
Okay,
you know what?
Cool.
So is everyone.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's someone who's not disappointed into you.
No.
What about your dogs?
No, they know things about me that
no one should know.
Yeah, they there's no possible way they respect me at this point. But that's not the point of this podcast.
Oh my God.
No, I think the cults are really good. I think once we have more access to them, that's gonna really change. Because right now, I am really, and I think a lot of people in general who play Wadrhun are really kind of stuck into the Predator matriarch. A third thing, orthodoxy, that sort of currently exists, and
what are you starting a religion now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if people will pay me, then sure.
I need a private jet.
Send me the religion and send me a Bitcoin if you just heard this.
If I ever had to make a religion, I'm gonna steal my dad's idea. We'll pray for your sports team. Send us $10 and we'll pray for your sports team.
That's not bad.
And if your sports team lost, it means the other team got more. We received more money from the other team, so we had to pray harder for them, and that's why they won.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad was gonna start this with his coworkers.
That's the that meme of Mac from Always Sunny saying, or is it Dennis? I don't know, one of them saying, I play all the sides, so I win no matter what or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I fucking just shit all over that reference, but in any case, yeah, the cults are good. Chosen of War is really good. The chants themselves, Famine got a big glow up in the sense that Shock got worded better, and you get access to it in tier 1, so even if you're not using the chieftain as your warband leader, which right now you probably should be,
so good.
Yeah.
So good with Dream players.
It's you can still get Pocket Shock in Famine with no commitment whatsoever, because as long as you have something that's making Famine tokens or enough Conquest tokens to get you there. Relentless Blows is nice, but in my experience, when you have it, no ones. Not a one in sight. A desert of 2s and 3s.
Sorry, what are we looking at?
I'm just looking at the chants themselves.
Okay.
I was just going to quickly run those down.
Yeah.
Tier 3 in Famine is a trap pick because nothing benefits that much from it, except for the Death's Gaze block, which actually might be interesting to run in Veterans, which we will wind up talking about more in a minute. But otherwise, that's not, compared to what you get in the other tiers, it's just, Glorious Charge is great, of course. Impact plus 2 is good. Nice.
It's more dice.
Yeah, like 2 impacts a stand, even with the Glorious Charge benefit, is probably not going to swing too much. You need to already have impact numbers to pump up with that stat. And without Death's Gaze, we just don't have that. And Death's Gaze right now, to get it good, is kind of a big, and to get Easy Fanatic to do the big charge is a big commitment points wise, so it's not reasonable. Death, great. Untouchable and Deadly Blades are fantastic abilities to get on tier 3. Flawless Strikes is huge for us. Everything benefits from smiting on 1s. +1 clash, of course. Can't lose there.
I like it.
Conquest is just it's the utility branch of the chance, and it does that quite ably. I always
find it funny when your dinosaurs like march an extra 3 and then go up to +2 evasion, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's even when people know about it, it catches them off guard, which is nice. I would argue that getting the +3 march out of Conquest has probably had more game utility for me in general than any other chant special ability. The evasion is nice. We also orcs can get to evasion 3, which Nords, the other evasion faction, don't really get to do. So
that's what you get for being too dodgy.
Yeah, eat shit, Vikings. Orcs rule.
Is this gonna be like the pirates versus ninja fight that's been happening since the early 2000s?
Yeah, orcs versus Vikings is the new generation, the Zoomer version of that.
Jeez.
The tier 3 Conquest chant, if it's, I haven't had a lot of opportunities to really see how it goes with like a dinosaur where it might be very interesting, but for the most part, I don't think it's worth the effort to get into.
But have you played Chosen of Conquest to get to it? To get to it?
No, I feel like in Chosen, because again, I don't proxy, but I feel like Chosen of Conquest would be, like, they'll be really good to have that third action. I just want to look at their stats again. So yeah, because they get impacts, it's always nice to do the March Charge Clash. Even if it's just, that's one situation where a lousy 2 impacts a stand is not bad, and especially at 7 wounds, it's a big commitment, but you're taking a couple extra stands.
They're 80 points for additional stand. Oh my god.
Yeah, so you're maybe taking 2 stands tops, and at that point your list is the Chosen of Conquest, but but like the value that you would get at 7 wounds a stand D3, R4, and that's just D3. That's just straight up. Usually we have conditions.
Shield, yeah. Also, your evasion 1, so you get that little bit of protection right there.
Yeah, which
I'm excited to see these guys on the table and what they really do and how they're used. But as more Chosen come out, I'm excited to see more Sign of Conquest to come out as well, because like that Chosen brick there with like Death, Famine, Conquest, and War, they're good.
Yeah. Yeah, all the and like Chosen of Death are my I think my personal favorite, just because they have a level of combat effectiveness that we're just not.
Death. I love Death's stat line. It's 5 wounds. Sorry. It's movement 6, clash 3, 8 attacks. Like, oh yeah, Death, doing all damage to that cleave 1 and Fanatic. Like, they're going to be going to town. They can benefit from Relentless Blows, all that stuff.
Yeah.
5 wounds. Okay, regular Wadrhun wounds. Resolve 3. Not super high, but okay. Defense 0. What? Defense 0? What's the evasion stat? 3? There we go. Yeah, evasion 3.
Yeah, that's a beaut.
God damn.
3 defense that you can't touch is terrific.
Yeah, that is.
I understand why PB doesn't want to give it out, but that's going to be big, and being able to chant into death very easily, it's fantastic.
Down to 3.
Sorry?
Yeah, especially because if you go down to tier 3, you get to reroll your defense rolls of 3 or 6. Deadly Blades, Relentless Blows, +1 Clash. They go up to Clash 4, you get shocked, they go to +5, they reroll, and then you inspire to reroll 6s. Like, that's going to be a mean killer unit with 8 attacks each. Yeah, that's cutting
and then
through people.
Deadly Blades is when you're rolling 8 attacks, the chances of getting output, or like 8 dice a stand, the chance of getting some output from Deadly Blades is pretty good.
Well, no, you get even more. Oh, what's Flawless Strikes do?
Flawless Strikes is just the smite. Unfortunately you don't get the Relentless with Death.
Oh, I am looking at the wrong one then. Oh, it's Famine has Relentless. Oh, okay. So you have Smite, and then you also have Deadly Blades for if your opponent rolls a 6, they do 2 damage. Oh, that's nonsense.
Yeah, it's great. That's I feel like a lot of my personal with Wadrhun is going to be solved, but just by having Conquest of Death and Thunder Riders. Those I think are the sauce for me as in my playstyle.
Well, it's the same thing with like myself in 100 Kingdoms. Like Ashen Dawn finally came out, and I'm like, oh, I love Ashen Dawn. I want to grind them up and smear their bodies amongst my skin and bathe in them. They're so good.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, their mainstay tax is Crimson Towers, and I'm like, Crimson Towers is not that great. But man, Sealed Temple and Order of the Sword, when you guys come out, chef's kiss. Like, that's where I'm really wanting to see, like, 100 Kings evolve, is when the rest of the orders come out.
Yeah.
And I think you're maybe in kind of a similar boat with the Chosen. Because, Jesus, you could just juice this Chosen of Death to be like, all right, that regiment, we're just going to hit this delete button until they're gone. And then if we don't die, we're just going to hit that delete button again until the next regiment's gone.
Yeah, they blend, and that's great.
And I hope so. They're death.
Yeah. The other two, like Chosen of Conquest, as we discussed, they, I think, are just a very solid unit. They don't necessarily, they're not something where I'm just like, holy smokes, what a crazy, I gotta get these guys in the house. But 7 wounds is great. Resolve 4, fantastic. I throw a character in there.
What the fuck is going on with Chosen of Famine?
Yeah, Chosen of Famine, they're interesting because it seems like they need the most from their chance to get there. The stat line looks like it's almost like it feels like there's a balance pass coming for that one.
Yeah, it's just, what are you trying to do, Chosen of Famine? Because it's like you're trying to do everyone, but you're not that like
it seems like it's the anti-horde version of Chosen of Death, but without
like you're 30 points cheaper. Okay.
I just throw Impact 2 on there, and I feel like you're pretty much halfway to having them. But 200 points for that stat line in Fnatic is not going to be a take for me. You can get better value elsewhere, I feel like. Yeah,
and they're a light, like or Famine always seems to be like the speed or Wadrhun. I'm trying not to say orcs, but they're orcs. the speed Wadrhun, and it's just like, why don't you put a 7 there? Why don't you just like
give it some,
that?
give it a little,
Like,
gas.
you're the chosen of famine, you know. Show how
me
fast
that hunger.
you are. Yeah, if you're too slow, you're gonna fall behind and starve before you could eat the enemy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they had a rule? It's like every time they deal a damage, heal a wound.
I'd love that.
Where they just eat the thing. Like, oh my god,
that would be great. I would, no pun intended, obviously, but eat that up.
Yeah, like what if? Okay, so the rule is every time they kill every time they deal a wound, they return the stand to full health. Like they don't regenerate stands like regular healing; they just heal a stand. So if their last stand has 1 wound left and they do 10 damage, they heal that stand back up to 5.
Yeah,
because it's like they're already dead, but they're just eating themselves to heal. That'd be kind of like a fun thing.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
It'd be cool. Should we get on back to our main topic after we got sidetracked with chosen enchanting? Because
well, I mean, now we just
there's
don't have
exciting
to talk
things
about
coming
those
down
things
the
when we get to them.
That's true. That is
Sorry,
true.
you were saying?
Well, no, it's just like chanting is such a big thing with Wadrhun that going over it matters, because all these units, all the things we're going to talk about in this Wadrhun army list is going to be affected by chant some way. And sometimes I feel I should print this off and just like staple it to my bag or like my skin to make sure I know what the heck you're doing.
It's not a bad idea, because it's one of those things where a lot of players just listen to the Wadrhun player do a bunch of operations and just go, okay, that sounds fair.
That doesn't seem
all
too
right.
overpowered, and you had to press some tokens for it, so I guess that's fine.
I'd like to get home before 10. But yeah.
All right. Supremacies then?
Yeah, so are we at the supremacies? So we are. Yeah, I skipped way ahead. My apologies. So the supremacies, there's mainly 2 big changes with the revisions. Matriarch, the mommy, went from being able just having 1 draw event per turn to being able to trigger 2 draw events. So now she doesn't have to choose between giving somebody Fanatic and giving healing to a unit.
Okay.
Which is very helpful. It's a step in the right direction. I still think that the way that it's set up right now is too much of a tempo sacrifice to be viable. I would rather choose the 1 unit that I know wants and needs Fanatic and just find a way to make sure that a mantle is on them so that they just have it, so that I'm not relying on too many spinning plates. Like,
oh, you're starting to get into the Theist Priest problem, where you gotta activate all the priests first to, like, super buff the priests to then spread it out to all the other units before they can activate to get all your buffs. And at that point, your opponent is just killing all your shit.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, I have to I essentially, to get the most out of Fanatic, generally, depending on where things are at in the game, like, it's probably something that you want on one of your first activations of the turn, but you're sacrificing a top of turn activation to confer Fanatic, so it's almost better to just like set up what you need or can do with your characters the turn prior, and then just have the unit that you need to get the good chant right at the top of your deck at the beginning, so they're the beneficiary of all those tokens. But nonetheless, that's probably a conversation for a different episode. We need to really keep things moving here because we have a problem. So
we like to talk about the game and other than Tony Hawk.
Yeah, we like to do a podcast is the problem, but it is a problem that we have. The Chieftain / Thunder Chieftain, this is big. Shock Assault. So Shock got changed in 2.0. It used to be you got Inspired and then Inspired again. Now you get +1 Clash, and then you Inspire.
Yeah,
on a charge.
When you make a successful charge, so your impact attacks are all inspired, your clash attacks are all inspired, and then next turn, not they're inspired, they all have +1 clash for both your impacted rolls and your clash action. However, that doesn't stick around turn by turn, because then next turn you haven't made a charge, so you don't get it. Unless, you kill the thing and go off and make another charge, but
yeah,
that's what's going on there. I really like it, and I wouldn't be surprised if more Wadrhun players pick this up.
Yeah, it's quickly become a staple with the revisions too, and the cleanup, like the text, because we're just going over the red text essentially.
Yup.
in the revised books is just a cleanup to clarify when it takes effect and what can turn it off. So it's as long as he's on the battlefield, then everybody in your army gets shock. It's always considered to be active, but like all those abilities, once he dies, it's gone. So you do have to be conscious of that and make sure that you're getting the value from it before you lose the boss. But yeah, it's a super strong ability. It's probably, honestly, the best bet for, in terms of general utility, out of all the supremacy abilities that we have access to, it's probably the best one.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if more people play it. Next thing, the Tauntautor got added to the restricted option for the Chieftain.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to milk that into a bunch of discussion. It's just to make way for the revisions to the riding rules and to make the Tauntautor a little bit more accessible because it did change its role quite a bit, and so it moved around. But next up is the Thunder Chieftain, which is a brand new army list entry and is probably one of the best things that we have going for us. So, Thunder Chieftain is a chieftain on a dinosaur. He's got a good stat line. He's got Brutal Impact, Cleave, Line Breaker, and Trample. So he's just a strong
Cleave
unit.
2
Yeah,
and
Cleave
Brutal
2.
Impact 2. This guy does not mess around.
No, he's just there to kill you. He gives the Thunder Riders in the Warband flank, which is tremendous. You get the Way of War abilities with him, which means that you can either double time or get Flurry. Both of those, I think there's a case to be made for either one on a unit of Thunder Riders.
I think you might want to take Rapid Deployment for double time just to get that unit of Thunder Riders with him just way up the table.
Yeah, that probably is the best choice, but I love Flurry. Gosh.
You like to make sure you hit stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because I come from Clash 2 Hell.
That's why we're taking all the things that fix your Clash value.
Yeah. Moving along though, because I think the most of the value from the Thunder Chieftain comes from stuff that you can add on further on, but he gets access to he gets Thunder Riders as mainstay, which is tremendous because they're going to be very useful to us, and Raptor Riders on restricted. Spreading Raptor Riders around their restricteds, I think, is good overall for the faction because they're also a very useful unit.
Yeah. Also, because the Thunder Riders are mainstay, there's a caveat to his warband building where the warband may not contain more than 2 regiments of Thunder Riders. So it's making them so that you can't just like go crazy and just bring like 4 Thunder Riders,
which I would do. 100%.
Yeah. Yes, I would not be surprised, but a lot of people did that.
MG proofing the unit.
They know.
Yeah.
But you could take 2 Thunder Riders and 2 Tauntadors, 2 Quaddles, 2 Raptor Riders. There's still very good restricted options if you're just taking your 2 Thunder Riders as mainstays that you can restrict into.
You've got a lot of options, and having shock on Raptor Riders is great.
Yeah, keep it up.
Not anything to complain about there. The Scion got updated to, it now has Drum Beast as a restricted option because there are now riding masteries that make that relevant. Other than that, so not a lot of changes to the artifacts, which seems to be the case across the board. Hide of the Silent Hunter got just its attachment rules clarified.
Is the Elder Bronchical... I don't even know how to say this.
Brontoscalps.
What the? The characters stand in a single Thunder Rider regiment in the warband selected during army list building against the hardened one spot. That's actually really
that's an auto take.
And it's Thunder Chieftain only. I believe this was new.
Yeah, this was added with the Thunder Chieftain. So it's the thing that I find funny, and I'm sure they'll clarify this. So I don't think it's not like secret tech that you can make a crazy build around, but it does amuse me is that the way the rule is phrased, you could technically give Harden to a different regiment than the one he is attached to, because you're only selecting who gets Hardened during list building, and it just has to be in their warband. Like if you can find any collection of words in that small paragraph that contradicts my assertion, I'm welcome to hear it. But you could have your Thunder Chieftain get hardened and be in a unit that doesn't have hardened, and then the other, regiment, and then the other regiment in the warband does get that hardened.
Well, yeah, but it's the character stand gets it, and then a single regiment gets it.
Yeah.
So he could be in a different regiment with Harden, but that regiment he's in, if it wasn't the one that was selected for Harden, would not receive Harden as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's just funny to me. It's just like, it's just a weird phrasing irregularity that I think will get like
rectified.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll
fixed.
correct it because they don't even need to, because I don't think that you can really stand to gain anything from it. But
but someone's gonna like complain and then be like, "Hey, but you can do this dumb thing, and it says so in the rules." And it's like, no, dude, you're just reading poorly. And it's like, no, but you can. You see right here, this word is how you to interpret it. And it's like, no.
It just goes to show you.
That's why a lot of these updates happen, is because people were doing that a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, somebody will find a way to abuse it, but I'm not good at figuring those things out. So I didn't.
Maybe it'll be you.
Yeah. We're both pointing at the camera in this case.
Yeah, you can see us.
Wow,
I've just scrolled a couple pages and there's been no changes.
Yeah, there's really nothing. Like, they did add Tauntaur Rider for Chieftain and Scion of Conquest to give them the ability to ride either a Tauntaur or Drum Beast, respectively. But that was changed before, so no big deal there. Moving right along, the veterans got a point tweak. So they went to...
Did they go up or down?
They went down. They went down to 180
nice.
points and 60 points a stand, and both of those changes really make veterans a more attractive proposition. They were statted really high for what is essentially like a mediocre elite stat line.
Yeah.
I think, and by pairing them with a Chieftain, you get some good options in terms of how you can set them up with his draw event abilities, and then you can also give them flurry through the champions, so you can kind of build it, you can go big time if you so desire and have them double time and flurry if you're willing to sink the points into it, or you can just take one or the other for free. Forged in Battle is, I think it's more of a...
it's nice. It's like a draw event where you can pick a chant.
It's not bad. It's one of those... It's a situation where I think War is a good selection, because you just get +1 defense, just bam. And it's good for them because it brings them up to a 4, and then it's just like you're saving the chance or the chant sequence for other units. So, yeah, I think veterans had a lot to gain, but people are so
dino heavy.
Yeah, everybody's dino moding, so there's just no traction for them as a unit. But like, I tried them the other day, which I think has found its way into a battle report, and they did not bad.
Sure did.
I was happier with them than I expected to be. So whatever.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Hunter or Slingers got a point cut, and they lost range and then got it back, and their resolves got nerfed.
Yep, so for every 2 wounds caused by this regiment as a result of volley action, the target regiment takes 1 morale test. This rule does not apply to character stands that have joined the regiment. This wording actually does not appear on the app, I've noticed. And I think the Army Builder, it needs to be fixed.
The Army Builder, there was a glitch with the Army Builder where a bunch of outdated rules language got uploaded,
reverted.
Dinosaur update. But I mean, overall, there's still, if you have a hunter, like, you're probably building around Slingers still. That probably hasn't changed.
Even with the changes to Slingers to bring them more in line, I still would take 2 units of Slingers. Like, they got that range 18. They're still doing resolve. If they ever get into torrential fire range, it's still hell on earth. Like, they're volley 3. They're still a good unit just to throw rocks at people. Yeah,
they're a solid unit, and in my experience, like, they're Clash 2 with 5 wounds, so even with low... Like, unfortunately, low defense makes any amount of cleave just an absolute killer for them, but if you can keep them alive with Conquest chance or something like that, they can hold up a unit long enough for somebody else to hopefully get in there and fight him out a bit.
Here's what I found about the 5 wounds on Slingers or especially of all of Wadrhun. or any regiment that has 5 wounds, normally I'll have Merc crossbows like shoot all my shots in, and they'll get like 4 hits, and that would normally kill a stand in 1.15 or other factions in version 2 that only have 4 wounds. But in like Wadrhun or any other regiment that has 5 wounds, they're left on 1, so that stand is still at full efficiency offensively.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's my opponent's turn and they like flip over that card, I'm still getting pelted by those shots.
Yeah.
So slingers, I found, do a really good job in that range skirmish that happens at the beginning of the part of the game. And then as the game moves on to like where the mediums are fighting and the heavies are fighting and everyone's on the table, the slingers that survived, and if the unit is still around and there's that like one stand with 1 health because it lived, that entire regiment is still doing a lot of work. So that's why I value taking 2 units of slingers.
Yeah, the other nice thing is with the way, because the hard mommy can heal outside of her unit. If you've got matriarch, then she can also, like, if you can keep them holding on at 1 stand for long enough, like, you can actually start to replenish them and then get that shooting power back late in the game if things work out. Like, it's crazy, you can't plan around it, but it's one of those things where, like,
it's available to you.
Yeah,
it's an option.
If you're late in the game and all of a sudden your slingers go from 1 stand to 2 stands to 3 stands over a couple late game turns, like, that's going to be psychologically deflating for your opponent no matter what, because that's they expect it to have that dealt with or largely mitigated at that point, and now it's back and a furious threat, and hopefully you've got still the juice to pump some conquest tokens so that it can then get out of the ambulance zone and get back into where the shooting is really gonna
out of the ambulance zone and into the street fight.
Yeah, exactly, back into the knife fight. But that brings us to my big winners for this revision, which is the hunting packs.
Do tell me why you like the new hunting pack.
They're fantastic. 125 points is kind of this. I would have liked to have seen them get a little bit cheaper, but that's me being wishful. They're still.
Well, they were like what, 140 before, so they lost 15.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so that I do agree. Exactly. They are better at 125.
Much better. The other thing is, so they got loose formation, which when they were really at 3 wounds, they're really vulnerable to shooting. So something that helps mitigate that, gives them a lot of value. They're size 1, so they don't interfere with things as much in terms of setting up your own screens or shooting, which I think is a benefit.
Oh yeah.
Overall.
Also,
and I believe it's not on this list, but I think they gained, I feel like they gained an inch back of movement.
Their speed 8? I think they were always speed 8. Was it just because they were too expensive and blocked line of sight to your stuff?
Yeah, that might be why. But I
think they were always speed
8 with Vanguard is great.
Fucking insane.
What I used to, in 1.5, what I would do is try and get them on the board as quickly as possible and into the back line, and screwing up my enemy's deployments. But what I like doing now is actually using my auto-in to delay them by a turn, and then having them just zip across a line that I've already set, and then be in it, either a flank threat or a screen that they weren't counting on.
No, I have noticed you've done that a couple times. It's just like, vroom, and I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, and with 3/8 worth of movement, wheeling in from the side becomes more of an option, and especially with fluid, you can really just wiggle around and zip, and then right at the end of it you pretty much can just rotate. You can sit on this and rotate to wherever you're going to be the biggest threat to the enemy. And opportunists is a great rule, especially with them.
I got that same rule in the Mounted Squires, and I've played 2 games with them so far, and I have not been able to use it because I can't get into flank charges into people.
Yeah.
It's God damn it. Oh, I guess we're going to the front. Screw it.
It can be quite tough, but that's one area where hunting packs really excel, is you have a lot of ability to put them in a place where either they get a flank charge or What I need to like probably what I need to mess with more is playing with more of a 10 turns mentality and like getting going wide with hunting packs and taking the long way around and then making them a threat that you either have to deal with or like dedicate.
Just sit in the back for like a couple turns and then be like, all right, now it's time to go.
Yeah, like a hunting pack conceivably could like get around and then behind or into the side of your line or somebody's line. And then they either need to pull somebody off to go fight it, and that exposes their flank to, my higher quality fighters, or they have to focus on the fight that they were intending to have, and then I have my dogs come in and flank them. So overall, hunting packs, I think, were a big winner. We're so points starved, I guess, would be the way to angle that phrasing, that any cheap unit that is effective, but you don't feel too bad about losing as a screen, is really good. So I think that they're
welcome to Men at Arms.
Yeah, I think they're right back up there to an A tier unit for the faction. Quaddle and Apex Predator got Bellowing Roar, which lets them produce tokens and chant, but only in the Cult of Conquest, which
it's kind of nice.
It's fine. It's I miss the old days of Icon of Conquest, but it's not bad. It has a lot of use cases. Like, it does help with the survivability of the dinosaur for sure to get that E2.
Also, it gets them up to like movement 10, so you can do a long bomb charge.
Yeah, you can get some big charges there, and you can also do like a charge, like March Charge Clash, which if you have the means to give it Fanatic, which is also a big plus. The big one for Apex Predator is going up to 14 wounds. It was a little anemic at 12. It went down.
Oh, that is
way too easy. Huge. So yeah, that gives it a little more staying power, which is very nice. Overall, it makes the Apex Predator more viable. I've gone back to trying to run doubles again. I don't know if that's the move. I don't know if I'm going to tweak my list this week to go back to double slingers, but I'm going to be running double something.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about the Apex. It kind of feels like it falls into like a monster problem where it's that one big thing and people can like deal with it or handle it more effectively because they're like, oh, there's the big thing coming at me. Like, it's like when a giant runs at me, I'm like, oh, I gotta deal with this at some point.
Yeah, it's
like it's a thing that shouldn't be face tanking stuff. It's a thing that should be following up and finishing something off.
Yeah, it's definitely it should be the second guy into the fight, almost certainly, or second gal, because in my mind my Apexes are both girl dinosaurs, but that's
here nor there.
Different conversation entirely. Speaking of other big dinosaurs, so now we've got the Drum Beast and the Tauntaur, who both got pretty extensive reworks. Big points, 330 for the Drum Beast, 310 for the Tauntaur.
Holy crow.
Yeah, very expensive. You can only have one Drum Beast per warband. No such restriction on the Tauntaur, but really at 310 points, are you going to be taking two? Maybe.
Only one drum piece they purchase per warband. Okay.
Yeah.
The designer notes at the bottom here. Despite their massive size and incredible size 4, Tauntaurs and Drum Beasts fit snugly onto a single monster stand. This configuration facilitates a smooth and streamlined gameplay experience, allowing players to navigate the battlefield without being hindered by a larger footprint. That's really kind of them.
Yeah. It's whatever. That was a whole thing. I was surprised that they were going to go forward with the double stand thing for as long as they did. I can see why they went back to the single stand. There's, I think, a lot of weird cases that can come up with that, so I'm not too worried about it one way or the other.
Can I opinionate like what I think?
Hit me.
So I think it would have been like, I know for myself, I would have tried to glue the feet to each different stand if it was two monster bases, like the two circle ones, and then I would have them misaligned so they wouldn't fit into the square stands properly.
Yeah.
Another one, I think what would happen is a lot of these units are also usable in First Blood. So, like, how does a Tauntador with its 2 bases work in First Blood?
Yeah, I think that's another area where things get weird. But, that's life. So the Drum Beast, size 4, which is pretty unheard of. It's got its own special rule to denote that, and March of Giants gives it always inspired, which is all well and good. The Drum Beast has Brutal Impact 2, Cleave 1, Impact 6, Line Breaker, just a huge amount of special rules. Fearless, Trample 10, Sound of the Drums, Oblivious, Bellowing Roar. So it also can chant Conquest with Bellowing Roar and produce tokens. Sound of the Drums smooths out your chants, which I see a lot of utility in, but a lot of 32nd chamber, 110th level, 6-degree brain geniuses on the Discord will tell you that if you're making mistakes with your chants, then like the Drum Beast is you have bigger problems than what a Drum Beast can fix. But like, I don't know.
It's one of the Drum Beasts was to smooth out your chants. What the fuck?
Yeah. So I think that's a good ability, but I don't know if I'm going to use a Drum Beast personally, just because 330 points. Trample is great. Impact, whatever, Line Breaker, I don't want to just break down. I don't want to tell you why Brutal Impact 2 is good for the 20th time.
Oh, it is Clash 2.
Understand it. The Tauntaur it went from being the ranged dinosaur to being the more offensive-minded dinosaur, which it does.
A little more attacks.
Yeah, with Aplomb, it's got more attacks. Otherwise, the stat line is pretty much identical. It's got
Oblivious.
Yeah.
Oh, they both have Oblivious.
They both got Oblivious, yeah. It's got Relentless Blows, which is nice. That, with 16 attacks, you're statistically likely to see some ones, so...
Yeah. So it's always inspired, so it's always Clash 3. So then you for sure want to get Shock Off on this thing to get to Clash 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tauntaur, it's going to be a very good unit, but even with 26 wounds, it feels like a lot of eggs in one basket. One very tempting basket, because it will, like, it's defense 3 R3, so it is gonna fold to weight of fire, or quality
Cleave
attacks.
2 gets into this and just cuts it up. They're gonna probably do like 18 damage, and then Tauntaur doesn't do enough damage back, and then it just dies.
Like the Cleave
it has 16 attacks. It's gonna be Clash 3
without
8 hit. Then it tramples 10 on... Trample doesn't... It doesn't take into effect all special rules, so Inspire wouldn't trigger for that, so it'd be Clash 2 on the tramples?
Yeah, tramples are kind of in the...
so you're getting, like, what, 2 of these?
Yeah. So, I mean...
It's not great.
Tauntaur is good. I think it's worth trying for sure. I'm leery because you could conceivably 3 to 4 round it in combat, which, like, I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, nothing is going to live that long, but, like, things do. I've gotten into protracted combats. If anything can heal or really soak damage, like, you're going to be there for a while whipping it, and especially, like...
Do you have a queen chase this thing around?
You kind of have to throw those heals into it, I feel like, because after the charge, you're getting just Clash 3.
Yeah, and it's not great because that's already your Inspire. Like, it's like a 50-50 on a 16 attacks, so you're only hitting 8, your Cleave 1, like, eh.
Like, it's good. I don't want to act like this is a bad
HP
unit,
sponge.
But it's not really like... A lot of people think that, or at least the impression that I get, I hate saying a lot of people as much as I do because it sounds like I'm just making things up. But I'm just speaking to
when
what I see people. Yeah, I just lie continuously. Or get things wrong, so, like, no matter what, I'm covered.
I'm covered, yeah. This is our Cole's notes. We can get things wrong. It's okay.
Yeah. But, like, I do see people on Discord who have kind of taken the attitude that, like, the Tauntaur is like a blimp with God riding on it, and it's just going to fly in and fix everyone's... like, it's just going to smite the enemy and destroy everyone, and you just win. And just like everything else in Wadrhun, it's still going to be, like, a finesse thing, so...
Smooth 6? Jesus.
Yeah, and it's also going to take you forever to get there. But yeah,
Command models.
So luckily we can
segue over quick.
Fire these out. So Flint Napper, you reroll sixes as always. Don't benefit from Hardened, which is nice. The real benefit here is the character also gets to ignore Hardened, which for the Predator is huge because he's AP1, and AP1 shooting is the exception to all the shit I talked about Cleave 1. AP1 fucking slaps.
Sure does.
On
That's why I love
shooting.
more crossbows.
Yeah, it's miraculous.
I have done a game with him. Was it Imperial Ranger Corps who had Volley 3, and I felt bad because I did not have the AP1.
Yeah.
Because I was hitting stuff, but I wasn't killing them like I would if I had the AP1 on the Merc crossbows. And I was like, Merc crossbows, where are you guys? I made a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, AP1 on shooting feels very different from Cleave 1 on melee. The Skirmisher, they just fixed the wording so that it wasn't useless because it gives the +1 march to the character as well. You also get an additional withdraw. I know some people really like that ability. I don't like the risk associated with withdrawals, so I try to avoid them unless there's a good reason to do it. Because I've definitely had people just get deleted on me trying to withdraw from combat and suiciding because they got a bad roll. But yeah, otherwise pretty straightforward. Belling Roller, regiment counts as following the Cult of Conquest and benefits from the War Chant Army rule and uses it. They can only chant from the Cult of Conquest. That's just a dinosaur rule to give them a little bit more utility.
Perfect. Nice. Works.
Yeah, Tauntor Rider, it's the same as Apex Rider essentially, but it's a chieftain can join a Tauntor, or a Sign of Conquest can join a Drum Beast. The regiment march is based on the monster regiment's march characteristic rather than the lowest march characteristic value in the regiments, which is cleanup wording. You have to physically put the character on the monster. It can no longer perform Seek New Escorts and doesn't have access to a retinue. Still considered to be attached to the regiment even without a stand, and therefore can be involved in dual actions. Furthermore, the character stand is considered to be in contact with any enemy stands the monster regiment is in contact with.
The next do you want me to read the next paragraph, or because that's the one what actually has all the fun stuff?
Yeah, it's up to you.
All right, I'll give you a little bit of a right there because you talk about your favorite faction, Wadrhun.
Yeah.
The monster regiment rerolls failed defense rolls a 6. The character stand gains the You and What Army rule, so that you can't duel them. In addition, a Sign of Conquest attached to a Drum Beast regiment gains the Drum Beat Draw event. Chieftain attached to a Tauntator has its Way of the War ability no longer affect the regiment the character stands currently in. Rather, the Chieftain may select a friendly regiment within 8 inches to gain the effects until the end of the round. This ability takes place at the end of the Resolve Draw event step, but before the character stand performs any action. So you basically draw the character, select a guy with an 8. You now have whatever thing you pick, flurry or double time. So
I missed that. Nice. That's actually huge. Now you've got a buff ambulance, but so unfortunately though that
buff
feels
ambulance.
Like it runs counter to what you want to be doing with the Tauntor. It seems like the sending out buffs within 8 inches is more. It feels like it's in the Drum Beast space. But whatever. So Fnatic, more cleanup. 3 is the red text. So
what's this? What does this actually change though? In addition to Chamar's conscious maximum of 3, it's their own cults bonus.
There used to be situations where, because of special rules or because of the way activations were structured, you might have a 4th chant marker for some amount of time, but you would actually it would just get discarded without any additional effect. But now this just removes that.
So if you do have 4, you now only spend 3, and you just get to keep that extra.
So no, it just, in this case, it just actually specifically what this cleans up is you count as having +1 marker when you chant. So you would, if you chant at 2, you go up to 3, for instance, with Fnatic. So it also makes it easier to get your tier 3 chants.
Okay.
But before, the way Fnatic was worded, you would produce an extra token the way that you're supposed to for the chant. And then you'd be able to chant. I don't know. It's cleanup. It didn't really have a huge in-game effect because 4 tokens was never going to do anything anyway. But now you can only ever have a maximum of 3 tokens when Fnatic produces an additional chant marker for the purposes of the rule. Okay. Which doesn't make things any fucking clearer for the people who had to listen to me talk that out. But I think I have heat stroke, so here we are.
Here we are. Damn.
Yeah. So moving on.
That's it for Wadrhun.
Yep. That's that.
We did it. Our next one is going to be Old Dominion, and we'll go through their updates and see what's going on. Neither of us play this faction, but we do have a player in our local meta who does play it, and so we're just going to talk about it. If we get things wrong, don't murder us, please. We're just 2 guys. We live in igloos, for God's sakes.
Fact.
I have a family. I have a frozen goldfish. So, first thing that changed is the PowerPoint tier pool. So it says when playing a 2,000 point game, tier 1 is between 0 and 8 tokens. Tier 2 is between 9 and 17 tokens. Tier 3 is between 18 to 22 tokens. And Tier 4 is 23 plus tokens. And in brackets has the Obdurant Bone and Stone and Glimmers of a Golden Age. So if you have those rules or special abilities, supremacy, masteries, I know Glimmers of a Golden Age is a mastery on one of the characters, but the other one I think might be an artifact. You can go to Tier 4. Congratulations. You are more dark powerful.
Yeah.
Then we kind of get into the dark PowerPoint, what each tier does. For Tier 3, the red text is, in addition to all regiments in the army, always count as being inspired when performing a clash action unless broken. So that's really sweet for Tier 3. Fixes up a lot of low clash in OD at that point.
That just seems like a cleanup paragraph, but I couldn't possibly tell you what it was before.
Yeah, I believe it is a cleanup paragraph because I think the unless they are broken part really wasn't in it before. So they're like, oh, does it keep going if it's not broken? In the Fallen Pantheons, this is the PowerPoint tier for just the Fallen Divinity itself. And under Tier 3, it says, in addition, while other friendly regiments within the animated vessel special rule are within 10 inches of the Fallen Divinity, they add +2 to their attack characteristics and gain the Dauntless special rule. When other friendly regiments completes its activation within 10 of the Fallen Divinity, that regiment suffers 4 wounds. Jesus Christ. Jesus.
Yeah.
But that's the red text is in addition while other friendly regiments with the animated vessel special rule. So it doesn't affect the Fallen Divinity itself. I think that's the cleanup. It affects everyone else around it. Then we have Blasphemous Soma. I don't know what this is from, but the fall is both a figurative and literal description of events that took place, and the Soma is the physical proof of it. Hazels and this is lore?
Yeah, that was just a lore. And then...
that is lore. What the fuck? Okay. The actual wording is, when the Warlord is on the battlefield, each round before Supremacy phase begins, add 1 power token to the empowerment pool of your choice. So,
yeah,
I guess that's always on. Cool. That's because that's your army rule. So yeah, I guess that's always on. Once you get your Warlord on the table, you just get free power tokens. Get your Warlord out there.
Yep.
So for Supremacy, for the Zilliarch, this is the Obdurant of Bone and Stone. The red text is, the Supremacy ability is always considered active, regardless of whether the character stands currently on the battlefield or have been destroyed. And that is, the army may reach the Dark Power Empowerment Tier 4 as described in the Empowerment section of the rules. So he doesn't even need to be on the table. He can be dead, and you still get in this.
Same thing for Glimmers of the Golden Age. So
why are they named differently if they do the same thing?
It's the second paragraph. I think they have different...
yeah, there we go. It is
have different bonuses depending on what you're building into.
Oh yeah, you're totally right. The Zilliarch can clash twice, while the Strategos can perform a free additional reform or combat reform. All right, Zilliarch, you sound way better.
Yeah. Luckily, we can just cruise through the next few pages. So Skofnung went to 30 points. Wow. Everybody takes this. I'm looking at it right now. I don't know.
Linebreaker and Cleave 1 or Cleave +1. That's nice. What's the?
It's fine, but I feel like I just feel like there's a better option in the list somewhere there.
Yeah, but you could give a Fallen Divinity cleave 4 with that. Maybe this is the answer. Having a souped up Fallen Divinity.
Well, that's...
Doesn't the Auxiliary... Yeah, the Auxiliary also has cleave, so you can go to cleave 2 with it.
No, the Fallen Divinity cannot take Scoffnung. It can't take treasures.
It can't take treasures. Fallen Divinity, maybe, or... Oh, it cannot purchase treasures. Okay, cool.
A little too
Sorry,
good.
Scoffnung, you're not helping out here.
Otherwise, let's see.
Red news. Wow. Hold on. The Cures, Insanity, range 10, Attunement 3. I think that went up because I think it might have been 2 for a while.
Yeah.
And now it's 3 because Cures weren't doing anything anymore because they changed how magic worked on them.
Cures went from being terrifying to really bad, really fast. They also gained loose formation, which we talked about with the Wadrhun. That's good.
Oh, here we go. Drain Will is another spell. 12 inches, 3 scaling. If the spellcaster scores 2 to 4 successes, then reduce the target enemy's regiment defense characteristic by -1 until the end of the round. In addition, if the spellcaster scores 4 or more successes, then target enemy regiment suffers 1 additional hit from any Aura of Death special rule until the end of the round. As well is in red. Okay, so it's just stating that. So the spell still goes off, but if it goes off even better, then you suffer more Aura of Death.
That's all well and good. So the Cures got loose formation, which is fine.
That's pretty... Yeah, they're a light infantry. Like, their evasion 2, having that loose kind of keeps them around a little more, especially because, the way I always dealt with them was just to shoot them before they got close, and they just usually died from shots.
Yeah, spreading around loose formation is a good way to balance shooting without nerfing it outright.
Moore's got Aura Death 3.
Just an adjustment.
Because I remember...
Change. Nothing too exciting there.
What else is here? Varangian Guard, I believe, went up 20 points. They used to be 180, now they're 200.
Yeah. They're...
Or they might have been 190 and now they're 200, but they're now 200. Bone Golems are Death 3 as well.
Just adjustment there. Let's see.
Cratafactor 65. Why do I feel like that's a decrease in points?
It's anybody's guess.
Yeah. Still really
they're
good.
Interesting. I had a game where they messed me up because I didn't have the right thing to deal with them in the right place.
Was it pike formation?
No, it was like the Cataphractoi were just... I didn't have... Like, they were just able to blitz through a bunch of stuff that wasn't really ready for them, and I didn't have the output to deal with D3 plus shields from the front or the positioning to get into the flanks, so I just wound up wasting a bunch of turns fighting one unit of Cataphractoi from the front and the other one just ripped through a bunch of my lighter units. It was a bad game.
Not good. Was your opponent running a mounted strategy ghost to just run around with those guys?
I don't remember anymore. It's the trauma. I've just repressed it.
Whenever a horse enters the table, undead or living, you're just
just check out.
Also got here Profane Sepulchre. This regiment suffers X number of wounds, so a maximum of 12. These wounds do not cause morale tests. Target enemy regiment within 10 suffers X number of hits, where X is equal to the number of wounds suffered as a result of the draw event. This draw event this round. These hits have the armor piercing special 1 rule, count as originating from the target regiment's flank, and do not cause... Jesus Christ. This gets 36 wounds, you can be like, I lose 12 to hurt those people.
Yeah, it's an interesting rule. For sure.
That's actually really good coming from the flank, because you can get, city-states are kind of here now. They have shield and phalanx, and if you hit them from the side, they lose all that, and they're usually low defense base, but they're high defense from the front because of that phalanx and the shield, especially in the hoplites. So if you just get hit from the side, you just lose all that, and then that little bit of armor piercing 1 just puts them down to defense 1, and they're just dying.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. But so that's an interesting design space. I don't really know how that changed too significantly from how it was before, but that's the embarrassing truth of this segment of the podcast. The command models, so we've got the Princeps, who confers the regiment, including the currently attached character stands, always count as being under the effect of the inspired special rule. Nice. Reads like cleanup.
Let's clean up.
The regiment, including the attached character stand, gains Aura of Death +2. You better believe that's cleanup, baby.
Yeah, that's off the Profane Reliquary. Overall, these changes aren't bad. They kind of touch on a couple things to like bring things that really got beaten from edition. Like Kiers got hit over the head a couple times, and now they're kind of being brought back to like, oh, we're sorry for hitting you over the head a little too many times. Profane Sepulchre isn't out, but people who I've heard of proxy this thing are like love it to death. Like, suppose this thing's really good. I can't wait to see it on the table. Like, I wonder what the model's gonna look like, but it seems really good. Varangian Guard were undercosted for what they're doing, and so they bumped up because of that. But overall, it was a lot of minor changes because the main issue like OD was having was that they were just getting shot off the table. And hopefully the core rule changes have kind of fixed a lot of that more.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Like, there's very little changes in Old Dominion.
Yeah.
As I click all the other tabs to open up city states. Close. I don't know what that is anymore. Close. There we go. Yeah, that's really it for Old Dominion. What, like, from an outsider's perspective, Old Dominion, what do you think about them? Like what's do you think these changes are mattering a lot more than they've affected other factions? Like, Wadrhun kind of got affected a bit more. I know 100 Kingdoms got affected a bit more. What do you think they like these changes helped helped Old Dominion? Or do you think they're still in kind of a rough spot?
I think it helps them, but I feel like they were being careful about it, so it remains to be seen. I feel like they are doing a little bit better in the games I've played against them overall, but
yeah, I don't have a huge opinion about Old Dominion. Like, I know people are like, oh, them suffering no resolve is a problem. Like, they're point costed above because they're not taking resolve on all their stuff. Like, I wouldn't say they're slow, but they don't have very much like ranged output or like a huge threat projection as a lot of other factions do. So you can kind of shoot a lot of them before they get to you, and then when they finally get to you, you can just like stab them to death.
Yeah, they are definitely, they can be daunting, but they can be dealt with, so they don't feel too terrible to play into. But I think they did need some tightening up. They needed to have Kiers made more viable.
And come back from the grave.
Yeah.
Should we get on to city states?
Yes.
All right, city states. You just came out. What new thing happened to you? Like, I know it's the Giants, but is there anything else in here that actually changed? Oh shit, there is.
Yeah.
It's in the supremacies. Oh fuck.
Yeah, quite a bit.
These are long.
So first up, carry the Godflesh. While the character is on the battlefield, when a friendly regiment activates by drawing its command card from your strategic stack, that regiment gains Harden +1. Reduces their march characteristic by -1 until the end of the round. This supremacy ability is always considered to be active. In addition, during list building and for the duration of the battle, friendly Clockwork Hoplite regiments change their class to medium regardless of whether the character's stand is currently on the battlefield or having been destroyed.
I like that. You know what? I kind of want to see the Edeon and the Mechanist, and their Clockwork Legions start coming out. That'd be like really cool to see on the table. Like, how do I say this? City States is a new faction. Not a ton of it's been released to see compared to a lot of the like older factions. So they're still in their infancy. So a lot of their things will probably change more. I feel.
So you're saying the army focused on infantry is in its infancy.
Yes, they're a little baby.
Yeah, I had to derail the entire discussion just for that. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Did you have fun, though?
Yes, I enjoyed myself a lot.
Okay, that's good. I hope you enjoy yourself here.
I do.
This is why we're here, to enjoy ourselves, talking about a game. Yeah, so I currently, what was it? I had the City States game with 100 Kingdoms after these changes. Ooh, what episode was that? Was that 11? Or do I feel like that was 11? That might be 11. I don't know. Whatever. 100 Kingdoms versus City States. I remember I read one comment where a person was like, hey, I'm finding City States are losing a lot right now. It's like, okay, well, a lot of people are just getting into City States, acquiring enough to play at higher point levels. they also don't have a ton out yet. And the things they do have out, I feel and find are very, they're not generic. They're unique to the faction and unique how they play, but they're going to acquire more uniqueness as other things come out to support them. Like, they don't have all their other toys to play with and to show off. So you're just playing into like hoplite blocks with minotaurs coming in for hammers with some giant support. Like, that's what a lot of people are playing right now. And it's kind of like a more defensive Nords like play style. And if you can deal with like Huskarls, you could deal with current city states.
Yeah.
Like, there you go. So yeah, like this is why I'm excited to see the Clockwork Hoplites come out. I'm excited to see this supremacy ability being used, because I believe the Mechanist is out, but you can't use the you can't use the second half of supremacy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Polomark. While this character stands on the battlefield, the regiment this character stand is currently attached to, including any auxiliary stands, and the character stand itself, adds +1 to his class generators to a maximum of 4. In addition to the regiment this character stand is currently attached to gains the Tenacious special rule, always considered to be active. So yeah, this is just whatever he's in, increase your clash, be a little harder to kill. It's just kind of like a nice solo, like buff up a regiment kind of thing. I'm good with that. I don't mind that. I don't know if I would take it more, because I know the Aristarch with the infantry tactics one of getting +1 march, because everyone's slowed down by phalanx. Yeah. Just having that +1 march is so good, especially drawing it out of your strategic stack. Is that what it's called?
I like the Polomark ability just because it's consistent. It's not flashy. It just gives you a benefit, and you don't have to worry too much about it. Tenacious is a great mitigation ability. Yeah. It's
I find some of the best supremacy abilities are the ones that benefit the most out of your army. Like, things that say like I'm just gonna use Wadrhun Shock. Like, it's on everyone in the army. It's great. The Imperial Officer's Vanguard is everyone in the army. It's great. The Dwag Elemental Power Token thing. It's within 8 inches of a sorcerer. If you're running like 3 sorcerers, it's basically on the entire army at that point, because you can spread everything out. So it's great. Like, things that get a little too specific hinder themselves in list building, because if you don't encounter that specific problem, you're not benefiting from it, and you could have just picked something that was giving you more benefit.
Yeah.
And there's times, even if I do encounter that thing and I don't have that specific counter in that supremacy, I still have ways to deal with it in my list construction and how I play the game.
Yeah.
All right, characters.
So the Mechanist is our first up. Just goes to Priest 5.
I think he was Priest 6 before, and they dropped it by 1.
Yeah, Priest 6 is potent.
Yeah,
you're basically always casting a spell with Priest 6.
Get into Wadrhun levels of efficiency. We can't have that.
Yeah. Then over to the Polomark, battlefield tactics is changed. So at the beginning of the character stand's activation, select one of the following battlefield tactics. Until the end of the round, the regiment the character stand is currently attached to gains these effects. Regiment can only be affected by a single battlefield tactic or battlefield order. Should a regiment receive a battlefield tactic or battlefield order whilst already under the effects of another, the current one ceases and is replaced. So Fight in the Shade. Enemy regiments performing a volley action against this regiment reroll successful hit rolls of 1 until the end of the round. Second up option is Come and Get It. The regiment the character stand is currently attached to gains the Unyielding special rule until the end of the round.
So instead of being like Tactic 1 and Tactic 2, they just gave them names. What was I think was like a comment that was made a ton at the very start of when they moved from version 1.15 to 2. Because I know for battlefield orders from the Imperial Officer, they were just like order 1, 2, 3, 4. And it was like, okay, which one is which? But now they have names. It's kind of nice. Both these are really good, and they're really good at different times as you play. Fighting the Shade is always good as you're approaching, and Come and Get It is really good when you're fighting an objective, because your opponent can never score it as long as you have guys in there.
Yeah.
And that's what unyielding does. So you choose if you have an objective zone, no one's going to be coming into it, but your opponent's shooting at you, do fight in the shade. If you're running up the table, do fight in the shade. If you're finally on a zone and you want to stop your opponent from scoring it, come and get it. Yeah, it's good. They're both very good, and they're good choices. They're tied to the character, so they don't draw and activate when you draw the regiment the character's in, unlike other battlefield orders and tactics, so you have to draw the character to use them. And then we get into the aristocrat. I don't know how you say this.
Aristarch.
Carl R. Stark. I think that was actually a Stark from Game of Thrones. So he's got battlefield orders. It's the same thing. Can't be it's only one order or one tactic. But this guy's got Arms of Steel. Regiment currently the regiment the character stands currently attached against the Untouchable special rule. This is reroll and defense rolls of 6. Really good. Hearts of Iron, currently attached against the Bravery special roll. Yay, roll of the week, we did it. We tied it in.
Yeah, we looped the loop.
The plan worked.
Yeah, so all of these are basically just cleaning up how they apply and how they take effect and all that. So nothing too spectacular overall. I don't think the rules themselves changed too terribly. They just got more puns. PB loves, I don't think they think that we're onto them, but we are. I know you love the puns and the references, and you sneak them in through the special rule names. We see you.
These are all Find the Shade is like a 300 reference.
Yeah,
Hearts of Iron is a video game.
Man, there was like a moment with the Predator unit in Wadrhun where I was just like, this just dead ass is the Predator from the movie The Predator.
This is just Arnold Schwarzenegger covered in mud again.
Yeah, and it's because the first blood rules are like, if it bleeds, we can kill it and stuff, and it's like, okay. Okay. And then you look at the mask and you're like, okay. So yeah, we see you, PB.
You can't putting puns in my serious war game. What is this, Warhammer?
Yeah. Family Guy ass.
For relics,
you
want to talk about the inscriptions?
Yeah, inscriptions lighter alloys got point adjustment. So until the end of the round, the infantry regiment this character stand is currently attached to removes -1 from its defense characteristic to a minimum of 1, loses phalanx and shield, and adds +3 to its march characteristic until the end of the round. If it had phalanx, or the regiment that had the phalanx special rule and lost it as a result of this draw event may still not enter a piece of garrison terrain.
Can't get inside buildings.
Yeah, so I think the main point of that is just to have a sneaky little charge that you can turn on for a unit to get the drop on them. That would be how I would try to use it anyway.
So the thing is with City States is they have no banners and they're pretty slow. They're not slow. They have speedy stuff in March 5, the regular speed, but they're not getting that +1 from the banner. They're not rerolling charges. They have that fixed charge rank, the +3. So anything that helps them move faster is kind of like a premium. Whenever I read this, I always think about that scene in 300 where Leonidas, they're at the hot gates and it's kind of all over, and there's 30 Spartans left in Leonidas after his 300, and he Xerxes comes out and he's like, bow to me, and Leonidas takes off his cloak because it's just too heavy. He drops his shield because it's too heavy. He takes off his helmet because it's too heavy, and he just runs almost butt ass naked and then tucks his spear into the God King to make him bleed. This is what I imagine is happening. All the soldiers are just taking off their clothes so they go faster.
That's fair.
They're just all in the loincloth and yeah, we got this.
I like the idea of the leader being like, it's inscription time, boys, and then they all just start taking off their shirts. That's not what I was expecting at all.
Get the sacred oils and oil them up. They need to be glittering in the sun.
Yeah. MG, don't make war games insanely homoerotic challenge, impossible.
.exe. So we gotta execute this file faster than we can hit the spacebar.
Well, the thing is that I can't even outdo PB since they put the Sacred Band in the game, which I think whips. But there's no topping that, pun intended.
They have whips?
No, go read up on the Sacred Band, and then we'll talk about it the next time we record. I'm going to leave it at that for now. And then I'm excited.
Do they have a lore spotlight on the
No. Just
website?
Google Sacred Band and
Jesus
read up
Christ.
on them. Read up on what the core concept of the Sacred Band was.
Oh,
and
is
then
this like
and then we'll talk about it on air next
which
week.
one, of Thebes or Carthage?
Oh shit! I think it's the first one.
Okay, we'll do Thebes.
Oh, you're gonna do it right now. That's even better. Yep. Okay.
Oh, I know exactly what this is. This is all like the dudes that are gay.
Yeah. So no, like
yeah, no, I 100% already know what this is.
How gay I try to make it, the very presence of the Sacred Band means that PB is perpetually outgayed me, which kicks ass.
That can't be happening.
Couldn't be happier about that. But yeah, I saw them and I was like, no way.
No way.
The best friend squad.
Do you tip your crown to an even greater king who is like, yeah, of course we're gonna put the Sacred Band in. We got to make this lore accurate.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I remember reading this when I was younger. I know what the Sacred Band are. I didn't know that was what they were called, but I knew there was like they would put in like same sex lovers to fight, and if like one of them died, the other one would just fight even harder because they were sad.
Yeah.
And that was like the whole idea behind it.
It works.
Good job, PB. Show that
You're
representation.
gonna look out for the homies.
The homies.
But that's a huge digression that's going to make about a fifth of our viewer base weirdly mad for no reason.
Oh, don't worry. This is staying in.
Oh, I would do everything in my power to make that the reality no matter what. So
it's in the game.
On the same page. But
they better, you know what? The models better be holding hands, so it's insinuated.
Well, I mean, I was already positioning my hunters so that they were like the homies were caressing each other's cheeks over the fight, as is the custom. So,
well, you know me. Whenever I come up behind you, I breathe lightly on your neck to let you know that I'm here and not to be disturbed or anything.
Wow, and I love it. So simple as that. But before things get really rated R, the expert scouts.
I'm trying to calm down, okay?
The best part of this is that we literally had a conversation about this when we were talking about doing this podcast in the first place, and it's literally landed in the exact place where it was like, we should probably not just let it get as weird and internet as possible. But whoops, you picked your co-host. And
yeah, I knew what I was getting into when we started this. I'm like, yeah, this will be fun.
That's good.
This is why I'm here, to be entertained by dumb shit and also talk about a fucking miniatures game.
That's fair. And yeah. But expert scouts.
Yeah, okay, keep going. I'm just going to shut the fuck up.
So the mastery is active for the duration of the battle, regardless of whether the character stand is currently on the battlefield or having been destroyed. Friendly infantry regiments without the phalanx special rule marching onto the battlefield from reinforcements gain the vanguard special rule until the end of the round.
It's good.
Yep.
Vanguard, great.
That's great. I don't know why you wouldn't take that every time. To give everything
That's
Vanguard.
Why it's 50 fucking points.
Yeah, I do feel like PB is maybe a little loose with the Vanguard. And the double.
What are you talking about? There's like millions of them in the Discord. Or are you just loose like whoever can get Vanguard? Because
shit. Like I'm furious at how well you executed that. Yeah, you got me there.
Yeah. Do you want to be Vanguards? Should we try to apply?
Oh, no, I don't like to. I as soon as they make me put effort into anything, I'm just like, no. I just want the vouchers and the colored name on Discord, and I don't want to do anything else. We already have a Vanguard who organizes things, so I just want the things. Anything else would be redundant.
You just want the minis. You want the gargoyle.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, that would be an auto take. Expert scouts for me in almost any list that I built in city states.
Super good.
Hephaestion looks like got their attunements adjusted.
And they adjusted like how many hits. Like I know it used to infect 2 hits, but they were attunement 2. Now it infects 1 hit, and they're attunement 4. Or the Aura of Death one, basically same thing, but I'm gonna be real with you. Everyone just goes for Trident Strike.
Yeah. So, pretty straightforward.
Like there's probably like a corner case where you want to do Crucible Fire. Like maybe it's like, oh, I killed the thing, and well, I'm gonna cast Crucible Fire, and then I'm gonna get charged, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're in combat with multiple, like I don't know. Trident Strike is so much better because it does morale.
Yeah, and it's just got a very straightforward use case, whereas Crucible's Fire, I think you need to have an idea for what you're doing in mind, and I just haven't had that idea yet, so it seems not great to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Oh man, we get to fuck up this name again. Doluritates.
Yes, the Doritos went to 25 points.
Oh, they made Doritos more expensive?
Well,
Fuck.
Fuck this economy.
Yeah. I'm gonna take my Locagos and go home.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you
Slams
want
door.
Cool Ranch or Hoplites, it's going to cost a little different.
I forget what the, like...
Dora...
I think the Locagos secures zones and the Dorito Boy does something else. We'll find at the bottom when we go into officers.
I think it gives you +1 deliciousness, and it gives you the extreme flavor special rule.
Yeah, you become Cool Ranch.
Yeah, and you get Crunch 3.
Phalanges. Did they go up points? For some reason in my head, I feel like they went up points. Whatever. They're 140 right now. They went up attacks. They used to be attack 3. Now they're attack 4. Really nice.
Yeah, that's good.
And they got pike formation. So this is... I think this was in the game before, but I think it got rewritten, and it was only on Phalanges, but it's kind of moved out. I know it's on Gilded Legion now. That's about it. But it says, enemy regiments suffer -3 to their impact X special rule to a minimum of 0 when in contact with this regiment's front arc. In addition, enemy regiments that have performed a successful charge against this regiment's front arc do not benefit from the Inspire and Shock special rules until the end of the round. So losing impact, like going down 3 impacts, basically neuters a lot of like regiments' impacting abilities because it's on a stand-by-stand basis. However, even if you don't have impacts, it's still really good because you cannot inspire or get the shock special rule until the end of the round into that regiment. Yeah. So Phalanges are very much like the medium, like get hit in the face unit. Like that's kind of what they're designed to do. I would, if you're gonna play Phalanges, I put more value in Hoplites because they're cheaper, they're higher defense. And you can take an auxiliary with them. Yeah. Can you take an auxiliary with this thing as well? I don't think so. No,
strictly sweet chili heat and nothing else.
Yeah, you only get sweet chili heat with these guys. So these guys are kind of used as either like speed bumps or pinners or anvils to let your other things hit it back. So like a speed bump is a regiment is designed to basically get in the way and then die, and then just leave like enough space or the entire space open for you to put something else into the regiment and kill this one. A pinner is something where you just like the enemy regiment moves up, you just charge them in the front or the side or in some way just to like just get enough of a touch that you hold them there for something else to hit them. And then an anvil it's an anvil, so they're getting into a fight, they're smashing into each other, and they're there to hold for as long as possible.
Yeah, that's
kind of how I feel about Phalanges. I think they're just point costs at a little too high for what they're doing, considering I have no idea if this your Hoplites are 130 and they have like defense 2 with a shield and phalanx going to defense 4, and because of that phalanx they're still like they're both the same clash of 2, while the Phalanges also have phalanx, so they go up to like defense 3 resolve 3. But usually Hoplites, you just bring a big blob of them because they're just cheap as all hell.
Yeah,
because they're 40 points per stand while the Phalanges are 45. It just, like, if you're, like, in the Hoplites, just anvil?
Yeah, the Phalangites feel like they want to be cheaper so that you can throw them away and stuff, but right now they're not, so I don't know.
Yeah, but they have support 3 while the Hoplites have support 2. Like,
support 3, it was more interesting to me when they only had 3 attacks in the front. So I felt like having 3 attacks and then support 3 made it so that you were incentivize taking like unusual formations with them, like 2x2s and things like that. Now you just run them like normal.
Yeah.
So whatever.
I don't know what to say. Maybe it's like flavor to taste, but I feel people are going to go more towards hoplites just because they can also take an auxiliary for that Minotaur Hespis to get that cleave.
Yeah.
And have a little bit more wounds there because that guy's a mean dick.
Yeah, I think hoplites
and that's kind of like that's kind of like my issue is that the phalanges get outclassed by the hoplites.
Yeah. I mean, they're the same, like they're the two medium options, the two basic medium options, but phalangites just don't feel like they have a clearly defined role. Whereas the hoplites are a really good mainstay infantry.
They do have a role, what's to just like be an anvil, but the hoplites still do that at cheaper.
Yeah. And
have some more like flexibility and customizability.
Yeah.
It's just, and they're hoplites. No, but yeah, that's the thing. Like the hoplites just win.
Yeah.
There's your sacred brand. Oh wow, their entire stat portfolio changed.
Yeah, their whole stat line is different now. It's a fairly standard stat line. Their strength is in their special rules. They get blessed, which can't be understated.
Oh, they're a wizard.
Phalanx, yeah, they get some spells, which they've always had. Shield, support 2. Like they're expensive, but you get a good package of rules for it, especially with spellcasting in the mix, things like that. Like I think that they're
what are their spells? So here's the thing about their spells. Molano Labi, whatever the hell this one is, actually doesn't appear in the army builder. It just comes up as an error. So I have no idea what it does.
It's just a healing spell. For every success you get 1 wound back. And
okay.
The other one,
target regiment. Oh, it's self. Okay.
They lose blessed, and then they reroll failed defense rolls and morale tests until the end of the round. And the regiment's command stand counts as 3 stands for the purposes of seizing objective zones. So it's you're essentially turning
super tank.
Yeah, you're essentially trading your blessed for just to be even tankier and to have more objective control. That I think is really cool.
I think that's really good and going to be really strong for these guys, considering they are defense 2, shield, and phalanx. They're going to have defense 4, the resolve 3, 4 wounds. Like they're not but they're re-rolling everything. So they are going to like trickle stuff in because they have a low wound amount. They have a low wound amount.
But
I know, right? I gotta say the word again. But because they're re-rolling that defense and all of it, and their morale, right? It's insane. Like they're going to be more survivable because they're not like anything that sneaks past defense. They're just going to re-roll their morale and just stay alive longer. And they do have a decent morale at 3 with that re-roll, and then re-rolling that defense is going to be really good. Yeah, I can see these guys just sitting on zones all day.
They're well priced to take extra stands too. So
at 50? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of, you can mitigate the lower resolve and the lack of wounds that way pretty easily without having to overcommit to it.
Oh, I just checked out the Seer just to see what that does. That's their officer. They get +1 resolve and they get priest +1.
And indomitable.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's sick. That's great.
And indomitable?
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
The auto passers. Yeah. Okay. So you take these guys, you grab a priest, you grab maybe a couple more stands.
And then you grab an objective.
You just were like, come at me, bro.
Yeah. And then they just stand there.
You're going to fight my lover? I'm right here to defend him.
Yeah. You want this objective? Why don't you come over here and kiss me about it?
You're going to tell him that he has kissable lips?
Yeah, I don't want to get banned. Oh Lord,
Jesus, this just got bad.
Yeah, this got weird. So the Promethean.
Oh wow, we're really going down.
Yeah, well, I mean, luckily there's not much left because I am literally about to die of heat stroke. But they just cleaning up the conditions for being able to cast spells.
Oh yeah, as if they were a character.
Yeah, Hephaestion got bumped up to heavy.
Is this the Spear Boy? Does he cast spear spells? Yep, this is the one who casts the Trident Strike and Yeah, he was too good at a medium. That thing, Jesus Christ, if that thing was a medium still, I'd be like, holy crap.
Yeah, that's a lot of power to come in as a medium. So.
And then the next changes are all on the officers. So we already talked about the Seer, who was +1 Resolve, Indomitable, and Priest +1.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great for that Sacred Band. We got the Jesus Christ, I'm not gonna say Xylophone. Perfect. The regiment's command stand gains +2 to its attack characteristics. In addition, should this regiment activate from the strategic stack, this regiment, including any auxiliaries currently attached to the character stand, gain the Flurry special rule until the end of the round. That's kind of good. I like that. Yep. That's nice.
Never PP on Flurry. That's what I would say.
Also, +2 attacks on your command stand. Extra hits, never bad. The Lockagos. The regiment may use the resolve characteristics of a friendly character stand with an 18 if it is attached to this regiment. Furthermore, if this army's warlord character stand activates its battlefield orders or battlefield tactic draw event while with an 18 of the character stand, the regiment of this officer attached receives the same as well till the end of the round. That's actually really nice, because then you could just be like, character, activate battle standard. Oh my god, you're with an 18. We're all fighting in the shade. All the Lockagos guys are like, we're fighting in the shade, and all the hoplites are like, we're fighting in the shade. And then so I like the Lockagos for an officer, because whenever that character activates that battlefield order, if they're within 18 inches of that regiment, they just do it all. So you can but you can spread that buff out, not just to the unit that character is in, but to all the other characters in your army, and that's a really nice, really good thing to do.
Yeah.
So I like that one. The Dolorites, or the Dorito Boy, if this officer is part of Phalangite Regiment's command stand, the regiment, including any auxiliaries, I thought Phalanges couldn't take auxiliaries, and currently attached character stands gain the Flurry special rule. If this officer is part of a Hoplite regiment and auxiliaries, they gain the Relentless Blows special rule. Yay. That's it. That's city states.
Yep.
Not a huge ton. A bit of wording changes, a bit of like tweaks on a couple things that were like, ooh, we should probably nip this in the butt right away. Or things that actually were kind of an issue, mostly on the Giants there, about how their magic worked, because I knew that was a big issue. Like, I think people were doing the math, and there was like a 1 in 3 chance that you could cast a spell when they were a 2-2, and now there's like a 2 in 3 chance of, like, you're kind of always getting something. It's very rare of you to fail for spellcasting rolls now, but like you're gonna get like 6 hits, like, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, while before it's like there's a very high chance you wouldn't even get it off. I still think like Phalangites and Hoplites are still too close to each other. Those expert, like, tactical scouts is still really good. Like, I don't know, it's good. Like, as City States keeps evolving and coming out, you'll see the faction probably change up, and more updates and changes will be done to them as things come out. But right now, City States players don't have a ton to play with, and they're just kind of playing with what they got. Yeah. And I found the same thing happened when Old Dominion first came out. They didn't have a ton to play with. They were losing matches left and forth because they didn't have all their fun stuff. And as more things came out, like, especially the Bone Golems, I think it was like the Bone Golems came out, and that's what kind of turned City States around a lot for it.
Yeah.
And then the Fallen Divinity. Like, City States is kind of in the same spot. So
yeah,
as more things come out, you'll see them grow and expand and actually be something to talk about more than just like, I'm starting the game, I'm starting with City States because that was in the 2-player starter and that's the side I got. Like, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
We did it. We went through all the army rules update that came out in like May.
Yep. Well, we got there.
We did it. Long silence.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to put any closing thoughts to City States or?
No, I think I feel like we've pretty well covered it at this point. Yeah, right. I mean the updates to City States were pretty straightforward, so I don't think there's too much to add on to that. But you know, we're through it, and now we're good until the next big revision to the rules.
Should we publicly talk about what we want to do next for the next podcast episode, or be like, we thought about doing that and then didn't?
No, I like a sexy surprise, so I think we should.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's keep them on the edge of their seats.
Perfect. So with that, I want to give everyone a big thanks. We have a Discord server if you want to come and join that, talk about Conquest or anything else, throw off some pictures of your hobby or anything. You can put bad words in it.
Yeah, you can swear as much as
Mike
you want.
And myself. Yeah, just unload. What else? We got a YouTube channel, BonkTable. This will all be in the show notes below. You can check out other podcast episodes if you want. I'm hoping to keep expanding those and get them out there every 2 weeks. I know some people will message me on the Discord and be like, hey man, you got any more podcast episodes or you got any more battle? I'm like, God damn it, I'm at work. I have a day job.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for listening and I hope you guys all have a great day.
Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Bye.